Hello students. In our earlier lecture we have discussed the features of novel and short story. As we have studied in our earlier lecture that the plot, characters, dialogues and other elements are extremely useful to form the novel. So the elements of novel is the topic, and the next important and very interesting element is setting. As we have seen, setting is a locale or the description of the milieu. In particular, we can say it's a historical time and place that naturally comes in the background of any of the plot, whether the plot of the novel is taken from history or from a particular, say, century, and the historical place with its natural hills and dells. The story brings us the references to time and place. As we have seen, the setting of the plot or of short story, it brings us the background to the plot. As we have seen, it stands for the details that gives us and creates a picture in front of our mind's eye. It stands for the references to the physical properties. The physical properties include the hills, the dells, the stones, the trees, the valleys, rivers of that particular time. At the same time, the monuments and what are the other features that reflects in the background. So it is a kind of a mise en scène. This French term has been used by the dramatist with respect to the French drama, and we have seen the drama that brings us the picturesque details of the background. See, so this is a French term which is also used for setting. So what are the settings that we see? Often the author goes into describing the details, the rising sun, the setting sun, the references to the climate and atmosphere of the particular time, that creates a kind of background to the plot and to the story. So the background is given a very particular details by the author. So author who reflects these so-called, say, physical properties. In case of Walter Scott, the historical novelist who wrote Ivanhoe, is an historical novel. He brings us the plot from the history. He brings us the historical background of his time. At the same time, in each and every so-called historical novel, suppose Leo Tolstoy's War and Peace, it brings us the historical time. At the same time, Yashwant Raje, the local leader, or the king of the Javasanstam, wrote a very fantastic historical novel, and that is Jaiba. The Jaiba novel, it brings us all these particulars that we see around the palaces, the hills, the forest area, the tribal area, the people around, and all that are reflected in the pages of FYBA. So, it stands for the historical time and plus that are given particular details. At the same time, the physical properties, if they are. If the novel is taken from the metropolitan cities, or the setting of the plot is referring to the metropolitan cities, such as cities are given particular details: the bus, the traffic jams, the railways, the drone of aeroplanes, everything that finds a reflection in the story. So the 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 relevant environment and the ambience created by the story writer gives the background to the plot of the story or the novel. So setting is having the particular say references to the historical time and plus. So it is related to this. When we study the examples that are relevant in this say so-called term, as we have seen the historical novels, at the same time the 19th century Victorian novels by Charles Dickens brings us the degenerated society in the background, the city landscape, at the same time countryside, the industrial revolutions, at the same time the unemployment, the industrial output, the disturbed economy, and its say consequences reflected on the lives of the people in the Victorian literature. The setting brings us the relevant details with respect to the plot. If we take an example from the modern novelist, we can see that the novels will find the traffic jams, the railways, at the same time the industrial output, everything, transportation, communication technology, all this technology that will find echo in the modern literature. So it is related to the plot. These points do have some kind of a reflection to particular aspects of the so-called plot. So sometimes the natural background or the objects or images that find the reflection in the plot and states of mind of the character may get some kind of meaning, and that significant meaning is reflected in the plot, and in turn they becomes the symbols. So the symbols in the background are reflecting the psychological states of mind of the characters that we see in the story or the plot. Suppose a rainbow that figured in the novel Rainbow by D.H. Lawrence. It stands for the expectation, stands for that Ursula, the character who is expecting a newborn baby, but while climbing she lost her baby. So all these things are reflecting the states of mind, and that makes these natural so-called settings or symbols as symbols. So to create the metaphorical meaning of the plot of the novel or short story, the hints at the setting, and the setting do have something to reflect about the character, so both are mutually accommodating. At the same time, when if there is a historical time and place that we are considering, the distinct attire and the clothes are also the part of this, say, historical time and plus. The dresses that were put on by the people, by the characters at that particular history or the time, will find its relevance in respect to the dress. Sometimes language is turned into that language, into that historical time or period. But we must understand these changes, these reflections are more up to date and to the point. So, with this, definitely setting is equally important, and we can see the setting do have some significant role to play. This is one of the area the author goes on mentioning and writing and giving all types of details to create a kind of a picture in front of this reader's mind's eye. So this I would request all the students to repeatedly watch and listen to this video so that you can understand the point in a better possible way. Thank you.